and I was in a very emotionally hurtful relationship with Josh, male 47. It ended when he went dark on me when I got sick, pregnancy scare. My physician thought I might have been having a miscarriage. Technically, Josh's baby turned out not to be a pregnancy. That was the last straw. I'd been through cruel pranks that usually involved humiliation humor, and he hated when I tried to look nice, so he made my life difficult. Example, I had lost weight and felt really good about myself. I bought this dress that fit me just the way I was hoping. We went for a night out and I got many compliments from our friends. I also got male attention from random guys that I don't even know, nothing major or extreme. When the night was over, he said very unkind things about my looks. Josh also made fun of me and told me to enjoy my 15 minutes of fame and mocked my smiling face when our friends said I looked nice. Back then, I had a dental Nesbit, which is a removable toothbridge. It was very natural looking, but I guess he had figured it out. We were at a stoplight when he suddenly tried to touch my teeth, then laughed. He also told me that my dress sucked and that I wasn't as skinny as I thought. I had to work on myself. I realized that I had lost my joy by being with him and that I was only trying to chase our initial stages when he was all goodness and treated me with respect. I also cared about his daughter, then a teenager. We had a good relationship, but she immediately cut me off after I broke up with Josh. The week of our breakup was very complicated. I had found out that he had lied about his degree, lied about his track record, lied about his great-grandfather having founded a business that still operates, lied about being friends with someone I know, and basically lied about the entire person that he presented himself to be. Without making this too long, it became clear that he was trying to sponge off of me by asking for my help starting an SME. He neglected to tell me the truth about his qualifications, but in the meantime, he was asking me to put down sweat equity or invest with him. I said no because I wanted to be careful. As background, I'm a business developer and I do this for a living. I got sick and he totally refused to help me feel like I had a partner. He said to call him when I had stopped bleeding and made excuses not to be present. This is when I decided to break all communication with him, changed my number, and refused to give him an explanation. If he lied about his past, then I needed nothing else to think about. I only saw him in person twice before last week, once at a shopping center and I avoided him, and another while I was driving and ignored him. Fast forward and his daughter is a grown adult and she works as a cashier at a megastore. I have never approached her since she wasn't interested in keeping contact. I wrote her an email letting her know that I cared about her, but it was up to her to stay in touch, and she never replied. I got married and my husband and I are quite happy. My husband is 6 of 5. This is important to the story. I attended a small town gathering for New Year's Eve, and Josh was there. I simply acted like I didn't know him while waiting for my husband to park our car. Josh smiled at me, and I didn't respond, so he walked towards me and tried to sit next to me. I said the seat was taken, and he insisted, and when my husband approached, he told Josh, "Excuse me," and we sat down to enjoy the show. That was it. No exchange of words, no drama, nothing. Josh's daughter asked if we could talk next time I was at the supermarket. She said she was very disappointed that I used my husband to intimidate and bully her father. She was very angry and accused me of having broken her father's heart. I set the record straight and asked her what happened with her plans to get an education. As background, Josh and I had disagreements because he downplayed a formal or any type of education and kept telling his daughter that she wouldn't have to strain herself as he would build a company that she would inherit. The outcome was no company and no education for her. She simply went into limbo after college and did not apply to uni or community college or trade school and expected things to fall on her lap. I also told her about his lies and how this has ultimately messed up her opportunities to live in reality, and that I experienced his incel red pill behavior firsthand. I thought she would just leave me alone, but she started crying. I've been at the supermarket after that, and she avoids me, and I'm fine with that. It's not like I'm going to check out at her cashier. I'm just haunted by the pain in her face that day. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. The pain in her face comes from being told the truth about her lying father and how he has destroyed her life with his constant lies. You did her a kindness by telling her the truth. You didn't cause her pain, her deceptive narcissistic father did. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the jerk. You acted appropriately at the gathering, and you were honest with Josh's daughter about his lies and behavior. Her reaction is likely a result of her own pain and disappointment. You're not responsible for her father's actions. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I've got to say, things have taken some unexpected turns. I thought I was done with Josh and his drama, but it seems like life had other plans. After the confrontation with Josh's daughter at the supermarket, I thought that would be the end of it. I had made peace with the fact that she was caught up in her father's web of lies, and there wasn't much I could do about it. I focused on my own life, my work, and my husband, who's been my rock through all of this. But then, 2 weeks ago, I bumped into Josh's daughter again. This time, it was different. She approached me, her eyes red from crying, and she apologized. She said she had been thinking a lot about what I told her, and after some digging, she found out that I was telling the truth. Josh had lied to her about so many things, and she was beginning to see the kind of person he really was. She told me about her own struggles, how she had been working at the megastore for years, hoping her dad would come through with his promises. She felt stuck, realizing she had wasted precious time waiting for a future that was never going to happen. It was a sad moment, and I couldn't help but feel for her. Meanwhile, my husband and I had been doing great. He's always been supportive, and we've been enjoying our life together. He's a gentle giant, but his presence alone can be quite intimidating, which is probably why Josh backed off so easily at the New Year's Eve gathering. Now, here's where things get really crazy. Last week, I was at a local business event, networking and discussing potential partnerships. I was in my element, talking shop with other entrepreneurs, when I saw Josh walk in. My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my cool. He didn't see me at first, but when he did, his face went pale. Josh tried to approach me, probably to spin some tale or make an excuse for his past behavior. But before he could get a word out, one of the attendees called out to me. It was someone I had helped start a business a few years back, and they were publicly thanking me for my guidance and support. Josh overheard this, and I could see the realization hit him. He had lost someone who could have genuinely helped him succeed. But that's not even the juiciest part. After the event, I was talking to a few people when Josh's ex-wife, the mother of his daughter, came up to me. She had been at the event too, and she wanted to talk. We found a quiet corner, and she spilled everything. Turns out Josh had been living a double life. While he was with me, he was also seeing another woman, and his ex-wife had found out about it. She told me how she had left him years ago because of his manipulative ways, and she was sorry for not warning me sooner. She also mentioned that Josh had been fired from his last job for embezzling funds, which was why he was so desperate to start a business with me. The confrontation with his daughter, the chance meeting at the business event, and now this news from his ex-wife, it was all too much. I was reeling from the revelations, but also felt a sense of vindication. I had been right about Josh all along. As I was processing all this information, Josh's ex-wife dropped another bomb. She had been in touch with the other woman Josh was seeing, and they were planning to take legal action against him for fraud. She asked if I would be willing to join them, as my testimony could help their case. I was stunned. Here I was, years after breaking up with Josh, still dealing with the fallout of his lies and deceit. But I knew I had to do the right thing. I agreed to help them, not for revenge, but to ensure that Josh couldn't hurt anyone else the way he hurt me, his daughter, and the other woman. So that's where I am now. I'm working with Josh's ex-wife and the other woman to build a case against him. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, but I'm ready to see this through. And just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, Josh's daughter reached out to me again. She wants to meet up and talk, and I have a feeling she might want to join our cause. My fiancé signed the prenup, but regrets it after my family's toxic betrayal. She'll unleash a shocking truth that changes everything. I've been with my fiancé for 3 years now, and I proposed in September last year with the aim to tie the knot in June this year. We've been living together for a year and a half now. For context, we are both from very different backgrounds. She grew up with not much money, whereas I grew up in a wealthy household. I never cared nor thought about this, and it has never gotten in the way of anything. My family doesn't approve of my fiancé, as they wanted me to marry someone from a similar background to mine. There was a nasty divorce in the family with my uncle and his ex-wife, who also came from a poor background, and my uncle lost a lot of money and a big chunk of his assets. Since we became engaged, my family has been non-stop talking about making sure a prenup is in place to avoid what happened to my uncle. The thing is, my uncle married a 20-year-old woman when he was 45. It was very clearly some sort of sugar daddy-baby relationship. This is completely different from the relationship I have with my fiancé. We very naturally fell in love, and money was not involved whatsoever. My mother has repeatedly been harassing me, saying that my fiancé should have no issue signing a prenup if she's not a gold digger. I have been feeling immense pressure from my family to get this done. Otherwise, they're not showing up to the wedding as they don't approve. Fast forward to last week. I briefly mentioned the idea of a prenup to my fiancé and if she would sign one as my family wants her to. She was understandably shocked and said she needed to sleep on it. The following day, she said yes, she would sign one, and that was it, just one sentence. Over the past week, things have been really uncomfortable. My fiancé, who is usually bubbly, upbeat, and talkative, has been so quiet. She is someone who is always smiling and laughing, so positive, and has such an amazing energy to her, but it has completely disappeared. I've also noticed she's been avoiding coming back home and has been staying with her best friend. I asked her this morning what's wrong, as her behavior has changed. I asked whether me asking for her to sign a prenup is the reason for her sudden change. After some back and forth with her, she said, "I'm not upset that you would like a prenup in place. I'm upset that you view me the same way your family does." She quickly rushed out and said she had to go to the office, and her one sentence has hit me like a ton of bricks, and I feel awful. I've messaged a few friends and let them know what has happened and asked for advice, and they told me that they think she is overreacting and it's no big deal. But I can't shake this feeling that I've messed up here and I'm the jerk. I never cared for a prenup in the first place. Edit. Thank you to everyone for your replies. I've just found out that my mother has also been harassing my fiancé and calling her a gold digger and saying that the marriage won't happen until she signs the prenup that my mother plans to draft. So that, combined with me springing the prenup on her, has hurt her. She has texted and told me she just needs some distance for the time being, but she loves me and understands why my family wants a prenup. I feel like such an idiot. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. No idiots here, but prenuptial agreements can be written in such a way as to benefit both sides. One that protects your assets but also guarantees financial security, like maxing out her 401k annually, anti-cheat incentives and penalties, predetermined custody and child support benefits. Things to guarantee she doesn't spend her youth with you and get dumped when she's 50. These things are especially important if you hope and expect her to take 20 years out of her career to be a stay-at-home mom. It's a touchy emotional subject, but it can be handled rationally with better information about purpose and possibilities. Comment 2. Not the idiot. A prenuptial agreement is not a jerk thing, it's a smart thing. What you choose to put in the prenup might make you a jerk, but so far that hasn't been decided. Marriage is a legal contract, but it's a really vague one that leaves a lot undetermined because it's a broad thing meant to be able to apply to everyone. All a prenup is a document making everything clearer. What goes into it is up to the two of you. There's no reason a prenup would screw over either of you. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 2 weeks since my last post, and boy, do I have an update for you. Things have gone from bad to worse, and I'm not sure where to begin. After my fiancé asked for some distance, I gave her the space she needed. But it was tough. We used to spend every evening together, cooking and watching our favorite shows. Now, the house felt empty without her laughter and energy. I missed how she'd dance around the kitchen or how she'd snuggle up to me on the couch. I tried to respect her wishes, but after a few days, I couldn't take it anymore. I went to her friend's place, where she was staying, to talk things out. When I got there, I heard laughter coming from inside. It was her laugh, the one that used to fill our home. I knocked on the door, and her friend answered, looking surprised to see me. My fiancé came to the door, and the look on her face was one I'd never seen before. It was a mix of sadness and anger. We talked, and that's when the bomb dropped. She told me that my mom had been sending her messages, not just about the prenup, but also accusing her of trying to trap me into marriage. My fiancé showed me the texts, and my heart sank. I couldn't believe my mom would go this far. My fiancé said she felt betrayed, not just by my mom, but by me for not standing up for her sooner. I was furious with my mom and confronted her the next day. We had a huge fight, and I told her she had no right to treat the woman I love that way. My mom didn't back down, though. She said she was just looking out for me and that I was too blinded by love to see the truth. I left her house feeling more alone than ever. The following week was a blur. My fiancé and I barely spoke. She was busy with work, and I was trying to give her the space she asked for. But then I found out from her friend that my fiancé had been approached by her ex. He'd heard about our troubles and swooped in, trying to win her back. They'd been high school sweethearts, and he was her first love. I felt sick to my stomach. I couldn't believe it. I had to see her, to talk to her. I went to her office, and we ended up having lunch together. It was awkward at first, but then we started talking like we used to. She told me about her ex reaching out to her, and I could see the confusion in her eyes. She said she didn't know what to do, that everything was a mess. I told her I loved her and that I wanted to fix things. I said I'd handle my family and that we could get through this together. She didn't say much, just nodded and said she needed time to think. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her and her ex, about my family, about the prenup. I felt like I was losing everything. The next day, I decided to take action. I called my family and told them that if they couldn't accept my fiancé, then they wouldn't be a part of our lives. It was a tough call to make, but I felt it was the right thing to do. I went to see my fiancé again to tell her what I'd done. But when I got to her friend's place, I heard them talking. She was telling her friend that she didn't know if she could marry someone whose family would never accept her. She said she felt like she was always going to be an outsider, and that maybe her ex was right, that they had unfinished business. I left before they saw me. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I knew then that I might lose her, not to my family, but to her past. And the worst part was, I didn't know if I could blame her. So here I am, 2 weeks later, with my relationship hanging by a thread. My fiancé is still staying with her friend, and we're talking, but it's not the same. I'm trying to give her the time she needs, but I'm scared. Scared that I've already lost her. Scared that my family's actions have pushed her away for good. Boyfriend ruins my solo trip by bringing friends, so I cancel his card and watch him struggle to pay. Oh boy, the tables have turned. I, 26-year-old female, just broke up with my boyfriend over our short road trip. Initially, my plan was to spend 3 days doing my modest version of Eat, Pray, Love all by myself, in a 4 to 5 hour distance from home ratio. I'd been saving up to stay in 3 different accommodations. No Airbnb for me, just hotel rooms and exploring cities that I'd never been to, and visiting my favorite town, which is 1 hour away. By the time I was ready for my trip to celebrate a career milestone, I already was in a relationship with Mac, 34-year-old male. He insisted on coming along, and this created friction. I gave in to his demands, and we agreed on splitting costs. I would pay for the hotel rooms, and he would drive us and cover gas costs, plus half the meal costs. The first hotel was really nice. I booked a suite with perks and a lovely view. The rest of the accommodations were average between a low-cost bedroom and guest house. I hated the first hotel experience. Mac asked me if we could meet with his childhood friend. It was very short notice, but I wasn't against meeting the guy and his wife. I learned during our meet and greet that Mac had invited them days in advance but neglected to tell me. I let it slide because I honestly thought maybe there was a misunderstanding. I didn't enjoy meeting his friends. They didn't do anything in particular to offend me or anything. It's just that we were supposed to be enjoying a date, and his friends were there, and I felt invaded and out of place. It felt like an outsider because I couldn't really contribute to their conversations. They started drinking, and I refused to charge it to our room, and Mac's face of anger made me feel horrible. Also, when he floated the idea about bringing his friends, I suggested we could meet the next day at the next town, but he insisted that it had to be that night at that hotel. His friends don't strike me as bad people, but I felt Mac made a unilateral decision, and I got bumped. He promised it would just be dinner, but I finally went to sleep at midnight, and he was smiling and super happy to be with his friends and allowed me to go to our room by myself. He never showed up, despite telling me that he would join me in a few minutes. I called him past 2 a.m., and he said that he was out of the hotel because they had the munchies. I exploded on him and told him not to bother coming back and that I would have all his belongings handed over to him at the front desk. I couldn't sleep because I was hurt and angry and checked out really early in the morning. He called me names and said that I don't appreciate the meaning of lifelong friendships and that this is why I'm a loner, and that he was humiliated in front of his friends. I said not to worry about it and rented a car and blocked him everywhere and removed the "in a relationship" tag from my social media. His sister tagged me in her social media rant about people who think they are better than everyone else and tried to put me on blast by describing almost the same exact situation at the hotel in her cryptic blabbing. I uploaded receipts and one of his angry texts accusing me of being controlling because I refused to charge their drinks to the hotel room at my expense since he was gonna pay it back. I said I will never allow homosexuals into my life again since I just had a very ungrateful experience. His sister deleted the post, but my best friend says that while she knows I'm right, maybe I was cruel because now this will chase him for a long time. She may be right, since I have an otherwise stable and promising future, and maybe it came across as poverty shaming, not my intention. I just wanted to set the record straight. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Absolutely not the jerk. Anyone saying she sucks for having compromised and tried a new boyfriend out on a vacation is missing the point. That's what dating is for, to see if you are compatible. So she compromised, realized he was too selfish, immature for her, and ended it. Comment 2. Not the jerk. Why are we always told that we should baby broke-ass men? His sister tried to shame you, and you turned it around and posted proof. Your friend is telling you that you should have allowed his sister to ruin your reputation to coddle that man? That's not your friend. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 3 days since my last post, and boy, do I have an update for you. Remember how I broke up with my boyfriend, Mac, during our road trip? Well, things have escalated, and not in a good way. After I left the first hotel early in the morning, I headed straight to the second city on my itinerary. I was looking forward to some alone time, but my peace was short-lived. Mac had apparently told his friends about our argument, and they were blowing up my phone with messages trying to mediate the situation. I ignored them all, but it was clear that Mac wasn't going to let this go quietly. I spent the day exploring the city, trying to distract myself from the drama. But as I was returning to my hotel room that evening, I got a call from my credit card company. They were asking about some unusual charges. Turns out, Mac had somehow charged his and his friend's bar tab from the first hotel to my card after I left. I was furious. I had to spend the next hour on the phone disputing the charges and explaining the situation to the credit card company. The next day, I moved on to my favorite town, the one that's just an hour away from home. I was hoping for some tranquility, but Mac's sister had other plans. She had taken to social media again, this time with a video rant, calling me out by name and accusing me of being heartless and materialistic. She even had the audacity to say that Mac was too good for me and that I didn't deserve someone like him. I was shocked and hurt. I've always been private about my personal life, and to have it aired out like this was humiliating. I didn't respond to her video, but it was clear that this was turning into a full-blown public feud. That evening, as I was having dinner alone in a quaint little restaurant, I saw Mac's car pull up outside. My heart sank. How did he find me? I hadn't told anyone where I was going. He walked in and the whole restaurant went silent. He came over to my table and started begging for forgiveness, causing a scene. He said he realized he had made a huge mistake and that he missed me. I was in shock. Part of me wanted to forgive him, but I remembered how disrespected I felt. I told him we were done and he needed to leave. He wouldn't budge, so I had to ask the restaurant staff to intervene. They escorted him out, and I was left there with all eyes on me. I quickly paid my bill and left, my appetite completely gone. Back at my hotel room, I tried to calm down. I thought about everything that had happened. Mac's insistence on joining my trip, the unwanted dinner with his friends, the charges on my credit card, and now this public embarrassment. It was all too much. The next morning, I checked out of the hotel and decided to cut my trip short. I just wanted to go home and forget about this whole mess. But as I was driving back, I got a notification on my phone. It was from my bank. There was a large withdrawal from my account, one that I definitely didn't authorize. I pulled over and called the bank immediately. They told me that someone had used my debit card at an ATM last night. The only person who could have had access to my card was Mac. I couldn't believe it. Not only had he ruined my trip, but now he was stealing from me? I filed a police report and had my card canceled. I felt so betrayed. I had trusted Mac and he had taken advantage of me. I didn't know what to do next. I was emotionally drained and financially stressed. As I finally got home, I saw that Mac had left several messages, apologizing and saying that he would pay me back for everything. But I couldn't bring myself to reply. I was done with him and all the drama he brought into my life. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.